Here we go again. It was almost exactly this time of the year, last year, 2023, in the week leading up to CES, that my arcade dropped some mystery images that we postulated here what those things could be. Many of them turned out to be almost exactly what we predicted, although there were some curveballs that came our way. And again, so just last night, or this morning, midnight Eastern time, my arcade dropped another kind of teaser mystery image about something that's going to be shown at CES. They actually dropped multiple images, but we're going to focus on one of them in particular. It's a better angle. We're going to figure out, if we can, what this product is, what they're going to be showing us at CES, and what it could mean for upcoming products from that manufacturer. Hey there, welcome back to GenXGrownUp. I'm John, and I am a GenXGrownUp. So without any further ado, let's get into these images. So first, over on Twitter, we got this image. So if you take a look at this, it's pretty hard to see much of anything. It's like, you can see it's a control deck with buttons. I mean, that's pretty obvious. It has a joystick and there's lights around some of those things. That reminds me of the GSP lighting, how the controller in the console has the ring of light. Looks like that's something that my arcade likes and they're going to keep doing. And this is intriguing, but if you also follow them over on Facebook and Instagram, a much better image, a more interesting angle, a higher angle so you can see more of what's going on, also dropped, and that's the one I'm going to focus on. Now, both of these images had the accompanying text that said, "Truth in red, hashtag CES," and a little red circle emoji. So just like last year, though we just have this one real image to go from, let's see what we can decode or intuit from these clues to determine what's going on here. So let's start by, I'm going to up the contrast and brightness of this because it's intentionally dark to try to keep us from seeing stuff. Let's try to combat that and bring it up as bright as we can. And now we can see even more stuff, even more visual clues. So it's obviously a 4-button control deck. You can see, you can even see through those clear keycaps. It says A, B, X, Y if you zoom way in there. And you can see over on the left, there's a silhouette of a joystick. Now this looks like it's, we'll talk about the joystick in a second, actually. Let's keep moving around here. Let's move over to the left, the dead center of these, to the left of the buttons. It appears to be a spinner, some kind of a dial. Now, once again, reminiscent of the paddle we got on the GameStation Pro last year. Could this be that paddle? Or, more, even better, could this be a real spinner? And it has that same little ring of light around it like the other elements. And if it is a true spinner, that starts to question, okay, this is not just a single function control deck. What's it used for, right? It has buttons, it has a joystick, and it has a spinner. This is like a console control panel, or certainly something meant to play lots of different variety of games. So let's look, this gets really interesting. Look behind the spinner or paddle or whatever it is. That's very clearly a numpad. And I think what consoles need a numpad, and I think of, well, there's a handful of Atari 2600 games, Star Raiders comes to mind. There's all of the Atari 5200 games that come to mind. Intellivision is another one that jumps to the front of my head that goes, hey, these things all need a keypad or numpad, and we don't have them on other controllers. This could be, could this be even compatible with PCs for, who knows? Who knows what this is? Okay. Got the numpad, that's fine. Then over on the left, let's talk about that joystick. Now, it's kind of hard to see, but it's over on the left there. The joystick looks like a joystick that's comparable to the one we're seeing on this last year's Microplayer Pro units. So it's not the screw-on, screw-off plasticky thing with the D-pad. It's the vertical stainless steel or aluminum shafted joystick. So looks like no D-pad option, but so it's a controller of some kind, very obviously. What's it controlling? And there's more too, because there's that question. There was the accompanying text that said, "Truth in red." And as we're thinking about what that could mean in reference to the image, I want to real quickly remind you that if you're thinking about games that you could play with this control deck, stop by our merch store over at genxgrownup.com/merch, where you can get tees and magnets and phone cases and all kinds of cool stuff with emblems of some of the games that you're probably thinking, like a Tempest and a Centipede and stuff like that, that might play well with this controller. We certainly appreciate you taking a look, and every purchase you make goes to support independent content creation that you see here on GenXGrownUp. Okay, so let's get back to it. The thing that I was most interested in, and the thing that jumped out at me, and it said truth in red, it's a big glowing ball right there to the left of the spinner or paddle and just below that joystick. Now, this, if it's a button, it's a weird button and it's in the way of the joystick. So that implies that, hey, I could accidentally hit that with hitting the joystick, so it's probably not a button. The only thing that leaps out at me, and you're already thinking that, I don't know why I'm beating around the bush, it looks like it's maybe a tiny trackball. And I say tiny, it's definitely little. It reminds me of the trackballs we got on late 90s laptops. Remember those little trackpads, or not the trackpads, but the balls that replaced trackpads? So you didn't have to have a mouse. It reminds me a lot of those in its size. It's hard to tell the dimension here, but if you figure scale of the buttons versus this, I mean, that can't be more than, you know, 3/4 of an inch, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch across or in diameter. I don't know. It's quite small, but it looks like it's a trackball. And this would reinforce the assumption that this is a multifunction controller, because if all of these guesses so far are true, we have a 4-button controller with a joystick, with a dial of some kind, with a keypad of some kind, with a spinner or something of some kind. Oh, and I didn't even mention up above the numpad, you can clearly see there are 3 little buttons that could be like a menu, a home, and a starter, insert coin, or something like that. This is, what is the, here's the thing. What is this connected to, right? So we look at it like, it's very, very dark on the left side of this image, and I'm sure that's intentional. We don't know what's over there on the left. What is this thing connected to? What's on that side? Is it bolted into a new micro player, or like a bigger, like the old mini player, something larger like that? Or is a wire coming out the back to connect to something else, to your computer or your GSP? Or that's what we don't know. I mean, what the controller is cool. What does that controller do? Clearly it does lots of things. What could those things be? Did My Arcade get some new licenses? Are they going to be exploring new, or are they building upon the things they already have? I don't know. Look, CES is next week. We're going to stay on top of this. What do you think this image looks like, and what are your hopes for what's connected to it on the other end? I'll keep up with this story. I'll definitely be having updates throughout the week next week as CES comes along. Yeah, and in the meantime, I'll throw some links on my shoulders here and here as we follow this and we have more videos on it. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you found something to enjoy in this quick video, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.